When people look at Gabriel and Jill Swaggart today, standing side by side at Family Worship Center, preaching, singing, and smiling like the perfect Christian couple, they see an image of unity. They see faith. They see love. But what many don't know is that this marriage almost never happened. Yes, you read that right. Before Jill Swaggart became the wife of Jimmy Swaggart's grandson, she actually refused Gabriel's proposal. It wasn't a simple "let's wait." It was a flat-out no, a shocking rejection that rattled Gabriel, shook the Swaggart family, and sparked whispers within the church community. But why? What could possibly make Jill hesitate to join one of America's most powerful evangelical families? The answer lies in a web of family secrets, spiritual doubts, personal fears, and untold drama that swirled around them in those early years. This is the part of the Swaggart story that very few dare to talk about. But today, we're pulling back the curtain. The weight of the Swaggart name. To understand Jill's hesitation, you first need to understand what it means to marry into the Swaggart dynasty. Jimmy Swaggart wasn't just another preacher. By the time Gabriel was ready to propose, the family was already deep in fame, fortune, and controversy. Jimmy's scandals were public knowledge. Donnie Swaggart, Gabriel's father, had his own rocky history with marriages and divorces. The ministry was under constant watch by critics and loyalists alike. For an outsider like Jill, becoming part of the Swaggart family meant stepping into a spotlight she never asked for. It wasn't just about saying yes to Gabriel, it was about saying yes to the entire Swaggart empire. And Jill? She wasn't sure she wanted that kind of life. Jill's early doubt. Friends close to Jill at the time say she was deeply in love with Gabriel. She admired his passion, his dedication, his energy. But love for her wasn't enough to erase the red flags. Some of the doubts swirling in Jill's heart reportedly included family drama. Could she really survive in a family where everything, from worship to wealth, was constantly under public scrutiny? Gabriel's youthful struggles. Gabriel, known for his fiery temper and rebellious streak in his younger years, wasn't always the perfect preacher boy. Could she trust that he was ready for marriage? The ministry pressure. Marrying Gabriel meant she wasn't just becoming a wife, she was becoming a public figure in the church. That's a heavy burden for any young woman. It wasn't that Jill didn't love Gabriel, it was that she wasn't sure she loved the life that came with him. The proposal that went wrong. Gabriel, full of excitement, proposed to Jill with the confidence of a man who thought love conquers all. But when he popped the question, Jill shocked him with a response that still echoes in Swaggart family history. "I can't do this, not right now." It was a devastating blow. For Gabriel, who grew up believing in destiny, in God's plan, and in the power of family, the rejection cut deep. For Jill, it was a moment of raw honesty. She simply wasn't ready to tie her life to his. Not with so many unanswered questions and so many fears. Gabriel's heartbreak. After the refusal, Gabriel spiraled into a period of confusion and frustration. According to insiders, he felt humiliated. After all, he wasn't just any young man being rejected, he was a Swaggart. The church community noticed his change. His sermons lacked fire. His smile looked forced. His music ministry felt empty. And behind closed doors, Gabriel wrestled with questions that haunted him. Was I not enough? Did Jill ever really love me? Am I meant to lead this ministry alone? For the first time, the heir to the Swaggart pulpit seemed vulnerable. Jill's side of the story. On Jill's side, things weren't any easier. People whispered about her decision. Some accused her of being ungrateful. Others said she wasn't spiritual enough to marry into a ministry family. But Jill's struggle wasn't about pride. It was about truth. She reportedly confided in a close friend. "If I marry Gabriel now, it won't be real. It will be because of pressure, not because of peace. And marriage without peace is a prison." That statement reveals a lot. Jill wasn't just saying no to Gabriel. She was saying no to the expectations of the church, the family, and the world. She wanted to be sure her choice was her own. The family's reaction. Needless to say, the Swaggart family didn't take Jill's refusal lightly. Donnie was furious. He feared Jill's rejection would embarrass the family. Frances, the matriarch, reportedly advised Gabriel to stand firm and wait, believing Jill would come around. Jimmy surprisingly took a softer approach. He told Gabriel that if it was truly God's will, Jill couldn't run from it forever. But even with their different reactions, one thing was clear. The family wasn't ready to let Jill go. The pressure builds. As weeks turned into months, the situation grew more tense. Gabriel tried to move on but couldn't. Jill tried to stay away but found herself drawn back. At church services, the tension was obvious. People noticed how Gabriel looked at Jill across the sanctuary. They noticed how Jill avoided eye contact. They noticed how the once vibrant couple now seemed like strangers. Rumors spread like wildfire. Did Jill find out something about Gabriel? Is Gabriel hiding a secret? Did Jill's family warn her against the Swaggarts? The unanswered questions only fueled the gossip. The breaking point. For Jill, the pressure became unbearable. She had to make a choice, walk away completely or face the storm. Her refusal had already sent shockwaves through the Swaggart ministry, but deep down, something in her heart wouldn't let go of Gabriel. She loved him, yet she couldn't silence the fears that came with him. This inner conflict pushed her to a breaking point, and it was at this moment, right when everything seemed to be falling apart, that the secret surfaced. The very secret that would eventually change her mind, change her heart, and change the course of their lives forever. After Jill refused Gabriel's proposal, life didn't get easier. It got heavier. Every time she walked into Family Worship Center, she could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes. Some judged her, others pitied her, and many whispered about her decision. She wasn't just saying no to Gabriel. She had, in a way, said no to the Swaggart empire. And that choice didn't come without consequence. Her friends noticed she was restless. She prayed harder than ever. She cried alone at night, and deep inside she carried a truth she hadn't yet shared. She had stumbled upon a secret about Gabriel, a truth that made her question if he was truly the man she should marry. The secret, Gabriel's confession. Behind the pulpit, Gabriel was bold. In front of crowds, he was powerful. But behind closed doors, he was human. Jill discovered something many didn't know at the time. Gabriel had gone through a season of struggle and temptation in his youth. Like so many preachers' kids, he had wrestled with rebellion. He had questions about his calling, moments of anger, and even times when he strayed from the path. One night, when they were alone, Gabriel broke down and confessed, "Jill, I'm not perfect. I've failed God before. I've failed myself. And if you marry me, you'll be marrying someone who's still a work in progress." For Jill, it was shocking. She had always seen him as untouchable, the polished preacher boy. To hear him admit weakness, mistakes, and imperfections shook her to the core. It explained why her heart hesitated, but strangely it also began to stir something else inside her, compassion. A test of love. Instead of seeing Gabriel's confession as a reason to walk away, Jill started to realize something deeper. True love isn't about perfection, it's about honesty. It's about standing beside someone in their brokenness, not just in their strength. Jill began to wrestle with new questions. What if God wants me to be part of Gabriel's healing, not just his highlight reel? What if this marriage isn't about status, but about purpose? What if the very reason I said no is the reason I need to say yes? For weeks she prayed, she fasted, she searched scripture, and slowly, peace began to replace fear. The turning point. The turning point came one Sunday morning during worship. Jill was singing in the choir when Gabriel stepped onto the stage to preach. His voice cracked, his hands trembled, and for the first time, he opened up publicly about his struggle. He didn't name everything, but he spoke words that pierced Jill's heart. We are all sinners in need of grace, even preachers, even me. The congregation was stunned. Some whispered, others wept. But Jill? She knew in that moment that Gabriel wasn't just preaching, he was speaking to her. She realized then that if Gabriel could be humble enough to admit his weakness, he could also be strong enough to build a marriage on truth. Jill's change of heart. Not long after, Jill asked to meet Gabriel privately. When they sat down, she looked him in the eye and said, "I was afraid of your past. I was afraid of your family's name. I was afraid of the spotlight. But I realized something. I'd rather walk into all of that with you than live a safe life without you." Gabriel's eyes filled with tears. For months he had carried the wound of rejection. But in that moment, Jill's words became the healing balm he had been praying for. The family's shocked. When Jill told the Swaggart family she had changed her mind, the reactions were explosive. This time, in a good way. Francis reportedly cried tears of relief, whispering, "God's will always finds a way." Donnie, though still protective, embraced Jill and welcomed her fully. And Jimmy smiled knowingly, as though he had seen this ending all along. The wedding was back on. The marriage drama. But don't think it was all smooth sailing. The wedding itself became a spectacle of both faith and controversy. Some church members still doubted Jill's commitment. Others whispered that she had only said yes because of pressure. And a few believed the marriage would never last. But when Jill walked down the aisle, radiant and resolute, and Gabriel stood waiting, humbled, changed, and grateful, it silenced the critics, at least for that day. The ceremony wasn't just about two people saying "I do." It was about a family overcoming scandal, about grace triumphing over fear, and about love that refused to quit. After the wedding, the real work. Marriage didn't magically erase their struggles. Jill had to adjust to life under the spotlight. Gabriel had to continue proving himself, not just as a preacher, but as a husband. They fought, they cried, they forgave, they stumbled, but they stood back up. And slowly they became the team that people see today, leading worship, raising their children, and carrying on the Swaggart name. The refusal that almost ended them became the foundation that made them stronger. What we learned from Jill's refusal. Looking back, Jill's initial no wasn't a mistake. It was a moment of clarity. It forced Gabriel to be honest. It forced Jill to be certain. And it forced the family to see that love can't be built on pressure. It must be built on truth. The secret that Gabriel carried, his struggles, his imperfections, could have destroyed them. But instead, it became the very thing that bound them together. Today, the Swaggart legacy continued. Now, decades later, Gabriel and Jill are not just husband and wife, they're partners in ministry. Jill leads worship with grace. Gabriel preaches with fire. Together, they stand as proof that love tested by fire emerges stronger. And for those who still wonder, why did Jill refuse him at first? The answer is simple: she needed to know the truth before she could say yes. And when the truth finally came out, it changed everything. In the end, Jill Swaggart's refusal wasn't the end of the story, it was the beginning. It revealed the crack. It exposed the fears. And it uncovered the secret that brought healing instead of destruction. Today, when they stand together, hand in hand, singing and preaching, it's not the picture of a perfect couple, it's the picture of a couple who fought, who failed, who forgave, and who chose love in the middle of imperfection. That's the secret the world didn't see. That's the truth behind Jill's refusal, and that's the story that changed everything. After the refusal, Gabriel spiraled into a period of confusion and frustration. According to insiders, he felt humiliated. After all, he wasn't just any young man being rejected. He was a Swaggart. The church community noticed his